Okay, so I put together a presentation based on a lot of the questions that y'all submitted for the webinar this afternoon. And again, if something else pops up, please pop it in the chat. Becca and I will be monitoring that as well. If you need to come and go, again, that is fine too. We just want to make sure we have all your questions answered, and we will have our contact information listed at the very end. So we're going to go ahead and get this show on the road. All right, so the three main topics that everyone said they wanted to cover were orientation, financial aid, and then housing. So those are kind of the three main ones that we're going to tackle today. So a little bit about orientation. If you are familiar with MTSU at all, then you will know it used to be called customs. We did change that this year. So now it's called new to blue orientation. And so when you're looking at orientation sessions, you will see a lot of, we call it alphabet soup. So what I wanted to do first is just show everybody kind of the breakdown of all of the different colleges within MTSU. If you've ever been on campus or received any of our information or our pamphlets, then you'll know how everything is split up by major. So for instance, for students that want to go into biology or aerospace or math or concrete industry, they're going to be in College of Basic and Applied Science. For students wanting to pursue nursing or psychology, they're going to be in behavioral and health science. Jones College of Business is going to encompass our business administration, our cybersecurity management, our finance, accounting, and whatnot. Education will house all of our education majors, our education minors as well. And then our family and consumer science program that has just been moved over there starting this fall. Liberal arts is going to have your English, your history, your philosophy, those types of areas. The Scott Borchetta College of Media and Entertainment will house our recording industry, audio production, our journalism, public relations, and then University College is kind of it's kind of a catch-all. So that is where the students that are undeclared are going to be advised. But also, if there's anyone that wants to do an integrated studies or like an adult degree completion program, that is where those folks are going to be housed as well. So, and I say that because whenever criminal justice is in behavioral and health science, thank you. So I say that because whenever you guys look at orientation sessions to come to with your student, this is what the breakdown is going to look like. So you'll see every single orientation session has different colleges associated with it. So what I've listed right here for y'all, these are the remaining sessions that we have for the rest of the summer for our incoming first year students. So we do have one coming up this Friday, and you'll see it's going to have basic and applied science, behavioral and health, business, liberal arts, and then media and entertainment. But you'll notice not all of those are represented at every single session that is going to be happening throughout the rest of the summer. So we've already had a handful of the sessions. So these are the ones that are going to be remaining. There is still room in all of these. So what I would encourage y'all to do is to sit down with your students and see what works best for your schedule. At orientation, the students will register for their classes, and I'll get into that more on the next slide. But all of these are going to be a one-day event. There's no need to stay overnight unless you need to. Hopefully, you should just have to take the one day off work. But every single major, again, is associated with a college, and each of those colleges is going to be represented at each different orientation session. With the exception of the very last session that's on Thursday, July 30th, that is going to encompass every single college and every single major. Now, I will give y'all a fair warning. That one is probably going to be very large because it is the last session for our incoming first year students. In the event that your student cannot make one of these orientation sessions, they cannot register for classes until after July 30th. So what that means is they would have to make an appointment with an academic advisor after July 30th. So basically anytime starting July 31st through that very first day of through the start of the semester. And it would just be an individual one-on-one advising session. And I can cover some more of that here in just a minute. But I wanted to give y'all just a little information about how to register for New to Blue orientation. And your students have all been sent this information. So I do want to make that clear. It is in their email, whatever email that they put on their application is the email that all of this is going to. A lot of them are also getting text messages. Some of them might be getting phone calls from the staff within my office as well, just reminding them, hey, you haven't signed up. If you're going to come in the fall, this is what you need to do in order to register for your classes. So the students will register on Pipeline, which since your student has been admitted, they have access to Pipeline, which is our student portal. In Pipeline, they're going to see a section that says New to Blue orientation. I have no idea why I have a blue line on the screen, but that's okay. So they're going to go ahead and sign up there. Orientation is a $35 fee just to cover expenses that we have throughout the day. Guests are allowed to come. There is an optional guest sign up, and there is a $20 fee associated with those guests as well. Once the student selects their session and gets signed up, they will get information about a pre-orientation module. And so it's kind of like, we like to call it like fun work. So it's basically learning how to navigate different things at MTSU. So they will go through how to look at student organizations. There's a really awesome section on the one-stop and financial aid. There's also stuff about making advising appointments, just so the students know how to do that going forward. And then also how to use D2L. We're transitioning to Canvas, so it's all in there as well. And so that will take the student, give or take, about an hour. That orientation module is required for students, and they need to complete it at least 4 days in advance of their orientation date. There will be times they have to do screenshots and upload to satisfy the module requirements, but it is all very simple, very step-by-step basis. For orientation, the start time is 8:30 a.m. and that is Central Standard Time. So throughout the day, there are different sessions. The students and their families will start together at 8:30. And the next session, the students will go out with their orientation groups and the parents will stay in our student union ballroom. And then everyone will come back together for lunch and then another session with everyone's dean. And then everyone splits up again. At that point, the students go to advising and then the parents stay and get other sessions as well. The hope is that everyone is done no later than 4 p.m. That is the latest that everything will be open and available. We can make exceptions, of course, but that is the true end of the day. Again, because we don't want y'all here longer than a day, having to take more than a day off work as well. And those agendas are actually online. So the student agenda and the parent agenda can both be found on the orientation website. Additionally, whenever your student signs up for orientation, all of that information will be emailed out to y'all as well. Okay, so a little bit more about orientation. So prior to orientation, your student's academic advisor will email your student an academic map and recommended classes for the fall semester. So it is important that your students are checking their MTSU email every day because that's where that information is going to go. If they're not already checking their MTSU email every day, I would encourage them to go ahead and get in the habit of doing so. I know with my daughter, it has been a process, but we're finally to a spot where she's checking it every single day. Even if it is, 10 o'clock at night, that's still knowing what is coming through and what's getting sent from either advising, financial aid, from housing, all that good stuff. So the student will have an idea of their class schedule before they get to orientation. The academic advisor will have access to any of their transcripts. So whether it be dual enrollment, international baccalaureate, AP, CLEP, all of that will be on file as long as the students have submitted that. Now, if there is an outstanding transcript, of course, we can take a look at that on like a case-by-case basis, but all of the official transcripts will need to come and be part of their application. So a student will get their recommended schedule. After lunch, each individual college will have a session with their deans and then break out into the different departments. So, for instance, with basic and applied science, they're going to call out aerospace and they're going to have their own aerospace session. And then biology is going to have their own biology session. Chemistry will have their own chemistry session. So the students will only be with other students that are within that major, learning about the department, talking about their schedules, and then the students will be in computer labs to actually register for their classes while they are on campus. There will be academic advisors to help your students doing that, and to make sure that they get the right classes. Now, I will say this piece. Just because they pick a schedule at orientation does not mean they cannot change it. However, there's a caveat. Anytime a schedule change is made, I always encourage students to talk to the academic advisor to make sure that the classes they're taking are still in line with their degree plan. Because as Becca will probably tell you later, if a class is not part of their degree plan, it's not going to get paid for by their financial aid. So if a student is recommended 4 classes, I'm just going to say English, history, biology, and calculus, and say the student registers for those classes. And then they decide, oh, I don't want to take calculus, and they drop it and put in dance appreciation. That's probably going to mess with their academic plan, and they should really discuss that with their academic advisor. But if they're wanting to change a Monday, Wednesday, Friday class to maybe a Tuesday, Thursday class, that is absolutely fine. But any big changes, I always recommend the student talk to the advisor first, just to make sure it's not going to throw any sequencing off within their major. So they'll register at orientation, and then bills are going to start coming out the middle of July. So July 10th is when all of the bills are going to become available, and those will be available to view in Pipeline. So it is a two-step process whenever you are paying and confirming your bill. You pay your bill and you confirm your enrollment. Students often will do one and not the other. It is a two-part. So as you see the dates here, and again, they're listed all over the website. They're going to be blasted out to students from their academic departments and advisors as well. The first payment deadline is going to be August 10th. If students have not paid by August 10th, they will get purged on the 17th. And that is what we don't want to happen. If you're not familiar with the purge, that means they lose their entire class schedule. It doesn't matter if they registered on August 16th. It doesn't matter if they registered April 10th with current students. If your bill is not paid and your enrollment is not confirmed by that date, then your entire schedule is going to be gone and you will have to start from scratch. And by you, I mean your student. There are questions about parking passes. Students will get their parking passes after their bill is paid and their enrollment is confirmed. If a student is living on campus, they can pick up their parking pass whenever they move in, and I'll cover those dates here in a couple more slides as well. So that was a lot. Again, everything that we talked about is going to be on the orientation website. I do have their phone number and their email address here. If there are any extenuating circumstances for either you or your student, please reach out to the orientation office. Gina Poff and her staff are absolutely amazing, very accommodating. I know some of y'all had very specific questions about orientation, so I would encourage y'all to find an orientation session with your student. And then again, if there's anything specific about advising needs or accessibility, please reach out to the orientation office. That way they can make sure that everything that y'all need is handled. And I'm going to go ahead and plug this real quick before I turn it over to Becca for some more financial aid piece. We do still have guaranteed freshman scholarships available as long as students are admitted by August the 1st. So if your student didn't apply until maybe the beginning of June, they are still getting scholarships if they meet these requirements that are right here. Now, these scholarships are good for 4 years. They are renewable and they can be stacked on top of the Hope Lottery scholarship. However, when students are awarded these scholarships, they do have to go in and accept them. So they've gotten emails to basically take them online to go ahead and accept that scholarship. So I do want y'all to know there is still money available. You got to kind of look for it a little bit. And now I'm going to turn it over to my partner in crime, Becca. Becca, this is your turn.
Thank you, ma'am. So your students are going to get this information when you come to orientation. You're going to get to see me again. But we'll be able to talk to you more individually in the afternoon at orientation about your student specific financial aid. Right now, if we have everything from the FAFSA, if we have everything from their school, we should be able to give them their financial aid award package. You should be able to see that on Pipeline under the financial aid tab. Now, all of that being said, if there are any issues, any documents that we need, you've been selected for verification, your student may not have a financial aid package. And that's when you're definitely going to want to reach out to us. And our contact information is a little farther in. But the financial aid award package could include student loans. Just keep in mind that all students that are eligible for federal and state aid are offered federal loans. But loans have to be repaid. And I know that sounds funny, but it's important to understand that student loans have to be repaid. Scholarships are also included in there. Anything that we have, say from a high school that came in, any recruiting events that we awarded a scholarship to your student, all of that should be there. The Tennessee Hope Lottery Scholarship should be there if your student has got us on the FAFSA as their school and if they have been awarded based off of their ACT. We should already have that information. If we're waiting on GPA eligibility, we cannot award that until we have final high school transcript. So it may be that we're waiting on that final high school transcript before we can award the um, lottery scholarship for your student. But you can always ask us, you can always email us or get on our virtual counter. We're going to be able to answer your billing questions for you. Kristen did a great job of covering the timeline already. We can estimate to the best of our abilities until July 10th. And then after that, as soon as your student registers, we'll be able to tell specifically more about what their costs are. One important thing to keep in mind is that when you're looking at Pipeline right now, you're seeing what's called a cost of attendance. That is an estimate that is used for a budget tool only. That is not your bill. That is an estimate of what a student could potentially need to pay for. Okay, but that's not the bill. Your student's bill on July 10th is only going to include the charges that are pertinent to them. So tuition and fees for everybody. If your student's on campus, housing and meal plan. All of the other stuff, the miscellaneous transportation, all of that is not a part of the actual bill. It is only a budget tool used to help you determine what a student may or may not need for their time here. And that is the maximum amount of financial aid we can give a student per year. So if your estimated cost of attendance is 28,000, for example, we can only give up to that amount for the year. Now, what that may be depends on what they're eligible for, whether it be loans or scholarships or whatever. But that's just a budget tool. Don't get bogged down on the numbers of that, okay? Because that is not your bill. We do have payment plan options. Kristen mentioned the dates to pay. We can split any remaining balance that you have into 4 equal payments. That first payment is what's due by the August 10th deadline. And that first payment does have a $50 payment plan fee on it, but the other ones do not. The other ones will be due at the end of September, October, and November. So it splits your remaining balance into 4 payments. And then if you have any additional scholarships that come in, it can go towards it. Any grants, any discounts, those kind of things will go there. Speaking of discounts, if you are a Tennessee public school teacher, work for the state or TBR institution, you do get a tuition discount for your dependents. There's a form on our website that you would have to complete, and you have to complete it every single semester. But we cannot take it until after July 1. So it has to be in the new fiscal year, cannot be signed before July 1, and that form can be emailed to us. On your student's Pipeline account, they can access the Partner in Education form. It's under the Student Records and Registration tab. Your students will set up number one, their privacy pin, which is their passcode to talk to us on virtual counter or on phones. And then they can also add you as a Pi partner, and they'll assign you a 4-digit pin that you will use when you reach out to us to ask questions about their account. Once they are officially registered for a class, even if they are only 17 years old, they are officially a college student, and you would have to have their permission to access their account. There's not an alumni discount. There are alumni, I'm answering a question from the chat. There are alumni scholarships that are available, but those are included in the general scholarship application that's open October 1 to March 1 for the next year. So it's already closed for this year. We'll reopen it in October for next year. And Kristen may have some other things to add. No multiple student discounts. I do wish. Trust me, I do wish. Um, okay. Kristen, will you, yeah, there we go. Our contact information is here. Our email and virtual counter are our preferred method of contact. I will tell you, we do have a phone number. It's on our website. You really have to look for it. If you call us, you're getting an off-campus call center that is trained to answer basic questions. So if you need a quick yes or no, they can likely help you. Any other way, we have to answer their escalated calls, basically. So virtual counter is set up where you can get on a Zoom call one-on-one with us in our office. And that's open Monday through Friday, 9 to 4. Link is on our website, and our email is answered within 1 to 2 business days. We very rarely ever go to 2. Once we start entering our peak in August, it may be 2. But that's probably the best way to get in touch with us, just so you have your answer in writing and all the information right there that you need. Is there a way to get a parking pass for early for an athlete? Parking services will not start releasing the parking passes until I believe it's August 12th this year. It's the week before Purge. Yeah, it's after the first payment deadline. It's that week in between Purge. They have to be paid and confirmed. That's the only caveat. They can't get a parking pass until they are paid and confirmed. And it looks like Kristen put the link for the tuition in there. Remember, tuition isn't set yet. Our board just voted on that. They haven't released the official numbers unless they did it today, and I'm lying to you because I know they're working on it. But our tuition can be estimated based off of what we're currently at right there. But virtual counter and email is the best way to reach out to the one stop.
All right, back to me again. So, several people had questions about living on campus and on-campus housing. So I wanted to just briefly touch on that. The housing on campus is not required for our first year students. It is very highly encouraged and recommended for a multitude of reasons. Studies do show that students that live on campus do retain better and have better college GPAs than those who don't, especially after that first year. But then also, it's a great way to meet new people. It's easier to get involved. It's easier to get to your classes, and you don't have to fight for parking every single day. And it's just you're in the middle of everything. So even though I live in Murfreesboro and I live about 15 minutes from campus. My daughter's living in the dorm her first year. And that is something that we're excited about because you get to meet all kinds of new people. I think she has to walk to maybe 5 minutes is her longest walk from her dorm to one of her classrooms. So it is again highly encouraged. Housing is currently operating off of a wait list. So if your student has already applied for housing and they're on the wait list, they are still moving people off of the wait list every single day. So that is another reason that students should be checking their MTSU email every single day to make sure that they don't miss that wait list notification.
Kristen,
Additionally,
can I interject something right there,
yes,
Kristen?
please.
In the well, we'll go with 10 years now that I've been doing this side of the house. I have never known housing not to get through our wait list. They're not going to put students on a wait list that they don't think they can actually get to. They're really good about estimating and making sure that we can actually get to our wait list. Now, the catch is it may be the end of July, 1st of August, into the end of August before that wait list call is made. Just as students drop and decide they're not coming or living on campus. So it's a stressful thing to leave your student on the wait list, but I've never known them not to get through the wait list.
Yes, Becca's right. They've gotten through it every single year, and the wait list usually has 600 to 700 students on it, and every single student always gets off. They are still rapidly moving through that wait list, and students decide not to live on campus for a multitude of reasons. So, like Becca said, there is a likelihood that students will still be getting housing assignments after the semester starts. That is very likely. So, for those of you that already have a student assigned a place to live on campus, the move-in dates are listed right here. Move-in dates are going to start August 19th and run through the 23rd. So, housing will send out more specific information about the move-in days, about the move-in times, the procedures. It is a very well-oiled machine. Again, it is so easy to go in and unload, get up to your room, and then unpack the rest of the day. So I will say it is a little slower the beginning of that time period. Come that Saturday, it is pretty busy, along with that Sunday as well, because Monday, August 24th, is the first day of class. So from there, again, those days leading up to the first day of class, we have a lot of events that are going to happen that weekend before class starts, which I'll touch on in just a few minutes as well. So again, just throwing that out there. If your student is on the wait list, it is still possible that they can get a spot. Um, and that is something that if you guys have specific questions about that, you guys can always reach out to housing. This is their information right here. So they do have a direct phone number, and then they do have an email address as well. They have a really great FAQ section on their website, and a housing portal, information about if you need to switch a roommate, what the time frame is for that, once your student is currently enrolled, when they can apply for housing for that next year. And we will have some more dorms that are going to open up in fall of 2027. So that's going to be over where Womack Lane used to be. If those of y'all are familiar with campus, we're having some new high-rise dorms go up over there. So we're really excited to get those online and be able to accommodate more students that are living on campus as well.
Kristen, can I also add that for those of y'all that already have a housing assignment, you're starting to pick your move-in dates. They're sending those emails out. You actually have to pick a time slot in between those dates that Kristen mentioned, the 19th or the 23rd, I believe. Keep in mind that those time slots are 15 minutes. Don't panic. That is literally the time that you are assigned to pull into the parking garage. You get your key, you get your parking pass, and you pull out. And then you can take however long you need at the actual dorm to unload and get your child set up. It's not you have 15 minutes to drop them off at the curb. It's just that's your time that's so everybody doesn't try to enter the parking garage at the same time. Because you actually are going to check in through the garage, get your key, get your pass, and then you can go and do what you got to do for the rest of the day.
Thank you, Becca. See, that's why we're tag teaming this. It's brilliant.
Yeah, and Kristen, there's a couple of questions in the chat. I
Okay.
want to hit before we move on.
Yeah.
It definitely doesn't give you much time to make arrangements, and that is the problem with the wait list. If you're on the wait list, like I said, it could be August before you know for sure. But at that time, if they call you and you've already made other arrangements, all you gotta do is tell them you don't want housing. We can't. As students drop, we're offering the wait list. We can't offer all wait lists now because there's still students in those spots. To get on the wait list, definitely email housing. I don't think last orientation session, they were very close to cutting the wait list off. So email them ASAP. You don't have to pay the deposit or anything to get on the wait list. You only pay the deposit if you get a room. Um, If the student is in high school dual enrollment, do they get the email to their, yeah, all of our communications from one stop, from admissions, from housing, from everybody goes to the MT mail
Mhm.
address. They
And
need to
if it,
check in their email.
If your student was dual enrolled at MTSU in high school, they will keep that same MTSU email address
Mhm.
and their same M number.
Yes.
So that is a common confusion for parents and students. So if the student already has access to that email, then they should already be in the business of checking that and knowing what goes where.
Yes. And I think Kristen is about to answer that last question with connection points. So go ahead.
Yes. Was that my next slide?
I don't know.
Oh, look at that. Okay, good. So, one of the questions in the chat is how to help commuter students get engaged as incoming first year students. So there's a lot of different ways to do that. One of the, I guess, the kickoff events that we have every fall is University Convocation. So that is where all of the first year students and their families get together, all the student organizations come out, faculty, staff, the administration. We basically just have a big welcome. So whereas you have a graduation when you end school, you have a convocation to start school. So we all meet over in Murphy Center. We have a speaker from our summer reading book. The band is there. Lightning, the mascot, the cheerleaders, the dance team. It's basically just a big welcome to campus. And so that is one of the Connection Point events. So Connection Point is housed out of the New Student and Family Programs office, the same folks that put on New Student Orientation. So what Connection Point is it's different ways for students to get involved and meet people and connect on campus within those first few weeks of school. So University Convocation is going to be one of those events. There's also Fan Day afterwards that is right behind Murphy Center over in Floyd Stadium. So all of the athletes will be out there. I know one year they had hot dogs. Becca, do they still do hot dogs? I don't know.
Yeah, they'll still do food. And then the
Okay.
president's picnic is is that Friday night as well.
And so again, those are again just great times to come out and meet people. Dr. McPhee will be out, a lot of the senior administrators as well. Families are more than welcome to join and see campus and kind of experience everything. And then again, the first few weeks, there's different events. There are student run events, there are university run events. Week of Welcome is going to be that very first week. So there's going to be different things going on in and around campus. A lot of stuff will happen around the student union, which is where we're going to have orientation. So whenever y'all come to campus, a lot of things are going to be housed in that student union building, which has just gotten an internal facelift. It looks really awesome. We got some new furniture and it's all blue. It's fantastic. So in the Connection Point events, they kind of go throughout the year as well. They do stuff in the spring, not on as grand of a scale as the fall, but there are still events throughout the spring semester. There are little buttons that students can collect, and it's kind of like a game, like a Pokemon, gotta catch them all type thing, to see who can have the most buttons before they graduate. There's even a special button that the president has that you can only get if you talk to the president in certain areas, and you ask him for it. So that's kind of a little tidbit that we like to kind of throw out there as well. But convocation is super fun. They always get down and they do this great picture. And that's something that we say, we're welcoming the class of 2030 to campus. All right, we've got some more time for questions if y'all want to drop those in the chat. While you guys are thinking about that, here is our information. So again, I'm Kristen. I'm over in undergraduate recruitment. I'm sure I've probably seen some of y'all out on the road. That is my email address. So if there is anything we did not cover today, please reach out to me and I can get y'all connected with whoever you need to chat with. And again, Becca's information is up here as well.
I will throw out there as well, if you're not already a part of the MTSU Parent Family Association Facebook page, I highly recommend that you join that page. Um, that is a good way for you guys to ask each other questions. And we do have admins that monitor that page and can answer general questions as well. But what we're seeing on that page right now is a lot of parents talking about, hey, what can my student bring to the dorm? Or what did you find useful versus not useful? Or my student's going to be off campus. We need a roommate, that kind of stuff. There's all kinds of good things on that page.
Another one that I see a lot of is what kind of computer to bring. I know that was something that I was looking for my daughter. So I went through the Facebook page to try to see what everyone was buying their students. Some departments like to say, oh, you'd be better off with this system versus that system. Some departments, it really doesn't matter. I know with a lot of the media and entertainment majors, they do recommend a Mac system of some kind. Now, whether that is, the PC, the laptop, whatever, whatever floats your boat as far as that goes. But I know specifically for them, a lot of the software is better accessible through the Mac and everything that has. Another really helpful thing on the parent family page is also pictures of the dorm because housing does have layouts. But what's really nice is you can go in and you can search whatever dorm your student might be in, and you can see real life pictures of people that have put their students up, what it looked like beforehand, how they're kind of decorating, how they can move. People will make recommendations, like Becca said, based on what you would need for the dorm. Also talking about what to expect at orientation. If you can't get in touch with somebody, a lot of people will pop in there and say, oh, reach out to this person. If you can't get person A, here's person B. So it's a lot of really helpful information. And there are pages for the students as well. So they can join those and just talk about different things like their class schedules and, oh, hey, I live in, I'm just going to say Memphis and I don't have a car. Is anybody going home for the weekend? Can I ride along? So there's a lot of great ways to be connected through there as well. What is the name of the Facebook page? It is the Parent and Family. Is that what it
MTSU,
is?
yeah, MTSU Parent and Family Association. Hold on one second and I'll link it for you because there are fake pages. And it's real fun because we'll get out there and on the fake pages and mess around with people and say this is not the legit page. Dr. Wither and I have a good time with that.
I will say too that again, it is those pages are monitored by MTSU administrators. So I there have been times where things have gotten a little snarky, and we've had to come in and kind of police it. But for the most part, everyone is extremely kind. Also, part of the Parent and Family Association is a Parent and Family Association membership where you can get certain discounts. You can get little benefits all around campus. When you come to orientation, you get like this cute little bag and a t-shirt. I currently have a proud MTSU parent license plate cover that I'm excited to put up. So yeah, it's a really great organization. It's a great way to stay plugged in. And two, if any of y'all live out of town or even out of state and say you can't, it's your kid's birthday and you can't get a delivery, there are so many people that are willing to say, okay, just tell me where their dorm is or what their schedule is. I'll meet them and drop off cupcakes for you. So there's a lot of really good-hearted people in that group, especially for those that don't have family close by. Again, either they're from a different part of the state or they're from, another country, an international student, what have you. So it really is an awesome community here. It is a big campus, yes, and it can be intimidating, but it really is such a genuine community of people, both that work here and that go to school here as well.
Yes,
How
and
can we get this link? So I will, sorry, Becca.
you're good.
So this is being recorded. So at the conclusion of this, we will send the recording out. So again, if you want to rewatch it, if you need to go back and get any email addresses or any phone numbers, all of that will be available for y'all. And again, we do want to encourage you to have your students sign up for orientation. As orientation continues throughout the summer, there are classes that are starting to fill up, meaning there's a chance your student might not get the absolute perfect schedule when they come to orientation. And that is okay. Again, the schedules can be changed around after orientation is done. I'll throw it back again to my daughter. She completely changed her schedule whenever she got out of orientation. She said, you know what? I did it one way, and after I thought about it, I really want to have my schedule this other way instead. So we kept all of her classes. We just changed the days and the times of them. So that, again, is absolutely doable. Classes will open up more after the purge date. A lot of students will get lucky and get classes that they want or time slots that they want at that point. And there are waitlist functions, not only for housing, but for classes as well. So I'll just pick on, I'm just going to say pre-calculus because a lot of students need that class. So if a pre-calculus class holds, I'm just going to say 30 people, and then they might put a wait list on for 15 people. So again, as people drop out of that pre-calculus class, the people on the wait list get first dibs on getting that class. However, the waitlist spots are only held for 12 hours. So that's another reason why your students should be checking their MTSU email every day. Because if they get a waitlist notification at 8 a.m. in the morning and they don't check their email until 9 o'clock at night, their waitlist spot is actually gone and it's gone to that next person on the waitlist. So that's just a little insider scoop from a former academic advisor that's how the waitlist is going to operate as well.
And
So
that's for classes, not for housing. Just keep that
Yes.
in mind.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. That is going to be
I think
for
you have like two
classes.
days for housing.
Oh, do you have 2 days? Oh,
Yeah,
good.
if you're
Good to
if you're
know.
offered a wait list spot, I think you have 48 hours.
Excellent. Excellent. And again, they're great. They can answer any questions that you might have. Again, Gina and her crew with new student orientation, new to blue, super accommodating. We do have all of the campus food facilities open for orientation. I highly recommend McCallie Dining Hall that's over in the KUC. You can't beat the pizza at McCallie. You just can't. You can also get ice cream, and they have our chocolate milk on tap. Which, if you've never had the chocolate milk, it is absolutely superb. And I think it is made from pure chocolate nectar of some higher power. It is literally the most delicious thing I've ever had in my life. So, anywho, we just got really sidetracked.
Uh,
Um,
there's a, there's a couple of questions in the chat I want to answer, Kristen.
oh, okay. Sorry, you go ahead.
You're good. You're good. We can get so sidetracked. When is the deadline to apply for a loan to assist with housing and tuition? Students can actually apply for loans until the last week of the semester. So you can apply until December. It's like December 1st. The catch is you want to do it in time for us to be able to process that loan before any payments are due. So if you're shooting for that August 10th deadline, you need to give us at least 3 or 4 business days prior to that when you're applying for your federal loans. If you're doing a private loans can take longer, like Sally Mae, Discover, that type of thing. They can take up to a month. It depends on their processing side. Once we get it, we can apply it pretty quick. But private loans can take a while to process, so be sure that you're giving yourself time for that. One of the other questions, is it possible to acquire housing for spring if you don't make fall? Yes. Housing will have students that decide they're not coming back in the spring and will break contract and have spots open. And they're going to have spots open in the middle of the fall semester because we've gotten to the end of the wait list and the last 100 people already had plans, so they weren't able to fill all the rooms. That happens every year too. We end up having a handful of rooms left because the folks on the wait list had to make plans. So spring housing is definitely possible. They start filling that in September. So the application for spring housing is out there and you can go ahead and do that.
Do we get everything?
I think that's all the questions that are in the chat.
Okay.
It might not be a bad idea, Kristen, if you think about it, to put this in the Facebook group, to put the link in the Facebook
You
group.
know what? I think I will. That's a great idea, Becca.
Yeah.
See, this is why we work well together. All right.
Do you
So
have any
then,
other questions?
we've recorded this. We'll send it out. Our information is up here. If there's something we did not cover and you need to have information about that, please contact us and let us know, and we can get you connected to whoever it is on campus. If you have any outstanding questions about maybe dual enrollment transcripts or AP credit, AP scores are supposed to come out July 1st. So if your student is anticipating getting AP credit, have them be checking their MTSU email, because that information will get sent to the student and their academic advisor, and it will come from the undergraduate admissions office. So have them be on the lookout for that. We do need final high school transcripts for all of your students. So when they applied, they more than likely sent us a partial high school transcript, but we do need a final high school transcript showing their graduation date and then their final GPA as well. And they have a few months to get that to us. I want to say they have through the end of October to get that to us. If that final high school transcript is not submitted by October, the student will get a hold on their account that prevents them from registering for the spring semester. So as school offices and the guidance counselors are starting to come back into the office in July, be sure to go ahead and put that request in. And yes, Heather, the high school will send it. So your student will contact the high school. Sometimes it is a Google form. Sometimes it is through like a third party vendor. Sometimes they just directly connect with their school counselor and say, hey, I need a final high school transcript sent to MTSU, and they will send it over and we will process that as well.
And
How
keep in
long?
mind, there is a point in the fall semester in August before we start where we have to keep lottery scholarship from students that we don't have final high school transcripts for. So the sooner you can get that, the better. Miss Samantha asked how long before the Facebook group accepts your request. If they haven't already, I'm telling you, Catherine's quick on that. Um, you have to have answered the questions. So there are membership questions about who your student is, just verifying that you're not some random person trying to stalk our Facebook. As long as you answer the questions, Catherine and her team are pretty quick to admit you into that page.
And what's really great about the Facebook group is you can go in and you can search things as well. So if you don't want to go through every single post, from the summer, if you just want to search, I'm just going to say Cummings Hall or meal plans or something of that nature, there's a really great search feature, just like any Facebook group, but it is super helpful. There are a lot of parents that will stay in the group just to help other new parents as well, which I think is just really special. Parents that have multiple students that are going through the university. So there's a lot of really helpful folks there too. Is there a place where students can check to ensure you have received their final high school transcript? Yes. So their admissions application portal will show if we've received it and when we received it. And Becca, that next one's for you.
Yes, Pell Grants are awarded as part of FAFSA. The FAFSA is only the application for federal and student aid. It tells us what the student is eligible for. So Pell Grants, scholarships, loans, and other grants coming from the state are all part of the financial aid award package based on the FAFSA.
Y'all have some really great questions. Thank you guys for
Mhm.
being so attentive.
Welcome.
Oh, you're so welcome, Heather. All right, I feel like we covered a whole lot. Again, we know it might be information overload, but please don't hesitate to reach out if there's something that we did not cover or you need some more clarification on. We understand that everyone has individual circumstances and a lot of stuff is on a case by case basis. So if there's anything either one of us can help you with, or if it's someone else on campus, please let us know. And again, we will send this out. It will probably be next week, only because my marketing technical guru is currently at a conference right now. But if she can get it out this week, then A plus for her. I will buy her a Diet Coke because that's her favorite thing in the entire world. So, if there are no more questions, we will go ahead and let you guys go. Oh, hang on, one more. Becca, that's for you.
After July 10th, absolutely. Matter of fact, anytime a student changes a class, adds, drops, changes a time slot, financial aid's actually going to back off. And then the next day, it's going to make sure those classes are still required for the degree and it's going to put it back on. So financial aid will fluctuate as much as the student changes their schedule. We can also award any financial aid that the student is eligible for through the end of the term. So if something comes in late, then we can definitely award it. The biggest thing with the Pell Grant is that's a pretty static number. Your Pell Grant is decided based off of the results from the FAFSA. Your student aid index tells us how much you're getting in Pell. So unless there's a special circumstance or something done with the FAFSA, then that Pell Grant's not really going to change unless your student changes hours because it does pay per hour. And that's something else that I should probably mention. If you had a FAFSA reports 2 years prior. So we're looking at 2 years ago income. If you've had a drastic change in income between then and now, you can do what's called a parent special circumstance, and we can update your FAFSA to see if we can get additional aid for you. So if right, like for right now, if you're not eligible for Pell and you think that because of the change in income, we can get you eligible for Pell, then please do that parent special circumstance. We can absolutely look at it and see if we can adjust it and make your student eligible. Absolutely. Then shoot us an email. One stop at mtsu.edu. We walk parents through this all the time. We also, like I said, have that virtual counter. Y'all, that is a Zoom meeting one-on-one with us. So as long as you have a partner in education pin set up, then you can get on that virtual counter and talk to us one-on-one.
What is that?
That's fun.
I don't know what that was. So here's the one stop web address and their email address as well. If y'all want to jot that down. The virtual counter is fantastic, especially if you guys are not local to Murfreesboro or Rutherford County. Especially helpful for if you can't make it to campus or if someone is working or your student has questions need to pop on. Fantastic. And then whenever you guys come to orientation with your students, if you're able to make that, One Stop will be available as well for questions.
We will be here.
You are so welcome. All right, so I'm going to leave that up. We will let you guys go and enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. So glad that we were able to help you guys and that y'all were able to log on and join us. So again, please encourage your students to go ahead and get those orientation sessions. And hopefully we will see you guys on campus very shortly. I hope everyone has a good night and go Blue Raiders.
Thank you.